She was 1 point from losing everything. Then this happened. She rolled her ankle. She had it taped, untapped, and taped again. She fought off a fired-up opponent who had just knocked out a Wimbledon champion. And when it was finally over, she walked off the court fighting back tears. This is the story of the toughest 3 hours of Eala's career, and the one moment afterward that nobody saw coming. Because when the cameras turned to her opponent, the world expected excuses. What they got instead was something far more powerful. Stick around, because the ending of this story says more about who Eala really is than the scoreline ever could. Before we get into it, if you love real, unfiltered tennis stories like this one, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning of Eala's biggest month yet. Let's set the scene. Center court at Sobeys Stadium in Toronto is packed. It's the third round of the National Bank Open, a WTA 1000 event, one of the biggest tournaments on the entire tour outside the 4 Grand Slams. On one side of the net, Alexandra Eala, 21 years old, the 25th seed, and quite simply the hottest player in women's tennis right now. On the other side, Caty McNally, a 24-year-old American ranked 70th in the world, who has absolutely nothing to lose and everything to prove. And McNally is not just some random opponent. Days earlier, she had walked onto a court and beaten the reigning Wimbledon champion, Belinda, in straight sets. That win alone had tennis fans buzzing about McNally as one of the most dangerous floaters left in the draw. She arrived in this match with confidence sky high, and she was about to give Eala the fight of her life. But here's what makes this even more remarkable. This wasn't just another match for Eala. It was her 4th match in 5 days. Start the clock back in Washington, D.C., where Eala had just won her very first WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open, beating former world number 1 Jessica Pegula in a rain-delayed final. From there, she flew straight to Toronto, opened her Canadian campaign with a win over Alicia Parks, then turned around and played a doubles match alongside tennis legend Venus Williams, a match she and Williams ended up losing. Less than 24 hours later, she was right back on court for this one. For matches, 5 days, 2 countries, and now an opponent playing out of her mind. The first set actually started in McNally's favor. She jumped out to an early lead, and for a moment it looked like Eala might be running on fumes. But then something clicked. Eala reeled off 5 straight games in a row, completely flipping the set on its head, and closed it out 6-3. It was vintage Eala, aggressive, composed, dictating play from the baseline exactly the way she had all summer. 12 winners to McNally's 5 in that opening set alone. If you didn't know better, you'd have thought this one was heading for a quick finish. You'd have been wrong. Early in the second set, with Eala up 3-2, disaster struck. While chasing down a ball to save a point, she rolled her ankle. She still managed to win the game, but the moment the changeover came, she called for a medical timeout right there on court. Trainers rushed out. Her ankle was heavily strapped with tape as 5,500 fans held their breath, waiting to find out if the tournament's biggest storyline was about to end in an instant. She kept playing, but she wasn't the same player anymore. McNally, sensing blood, went straight after her. She started working Eala's movement, pulling her side to side, forcing her to defend on an ankle that clearly wasn't right. It worked. McNally clawed her way from 4 games to 5 down all the way back to level things at 5-all, then closed out the set 7-5. Just like that, a match that looked all but decided was heading to a decisive third set, and Eala was hobbling. This is the part of the story where most athletes fold. An away crowd, a momentum swing, a body that isn't cooperating. A red-hot opponent who's already beaten a Wimbledon champion this week and clearly believes she can do it again. Eala did the opposite. Between sets, she made a decision that surprised everyone watching. She had the tape stripped off her ankle entirely. No more restriction, no more caution. She walked back out for the third set ready to play through whatever pain came with it. And she did. She broke McNally's serve early to grab a lead, and even when McNally clawed back to level the set, Eala refused to let the moment slip away again. She held her nerve, found her range on the biggest points, and closed out the match 6-4. Final score: 6-3, 5-7, 6-4, in a battle that lasted 2 hours and 39 minutes. 2 hours and 39 minutes of pure attrition. An ankle injury, a blown lead, a furious comeback. And at the very end of it, Eala standing on the baseline, physically and emotionally spent, fighting back tears as the crowd rose to its feet. Now here's the part of the story that really matters. After a match like that, after the pain, the pressure, the swings in momentum, you'd expect raw emotion, maybe even a little bitterness from the player who came up just short. Instead, when Caty McNally and Eala met at the net, it wasn't tension in the air. It was mutual respect. And when Eala sat down for her on-court interview, still catching her breath, her first instinct wasn't to talk about herself. It was to talk about her opponent. She told the crowd, in her own words, that she wanted to thank Caty for a great match and for being a great sport. She said it was one of those matches that genuinely could have gone either way, that it came down to small details and a little bit of luck, and that McNally deserved every bit of credit for pushing her to the limit. That's not the reaction of someone looking for excuses. That's the reaction of a competitor who knows exactly how close she came to losing, and respects the player who nearly took her down. As for the ankle itself, Eala later gave fans an update, saying simply that she thought she'd survived it, and that it had been an incredibly tough match from start to finish. Encouraging words, but also a reminder that with the tournament far from over, her body is now a genuine question mark heading into the next round. And that next round is no small task either. Eala now moves on to face 12th seed Belinda Bencic, a former Olympic gold medalist and one of the most experienced competitors on tour, in the round of 16. If Eala manages to get past her, a blockbuster quarterfinal could be waiting, against the winner of a match between 4th seed Coco Gauff and a red-hot qualifier. Let's talk about what this win actually means, because the scoreline barely scratches the surface. This victory pushed Eala's remarkable run to 10 wins in her last 11 matches, a stretch dating all the way back to Wimbledon. In that time, she has become the first Filipino player in history to win a WTA Tour singles title. She has taken down a former world #1. And now, playing through pain, exhaustion, and a schedule that would break most players, she has fought her way into the second week of a WTA 1000 event on hostile, yet electric, soil. Because make no mistake, that Toronto crowd was not neutral. The stands were packed with Filipino flags, chants, and a level of noise usually reserved for home Grand Slam runs. Eala has become something bigger than a rising tennis star. She has become a movement, a symbol of what's possible for a nation that has never had a player like her before. Every match she plays right now feels like a cultural moment as much as a sporting one, and Toronto proved that her support travels with her, no matter which country she's playing in. Think about everything stacked against her in this one match alone. An opponent playing the best tennis of her career. A body running on almost no rest after back-to-back-to-back events. A momentum swing that would have buried a lot of players. And a physical injury serious enough to require a medical timeout mid-match on the biggest court of the tournament. She walked through all of it, and she still had it in her, at the end of the most grueling win of her season, to put the spotlight on her opponent instead of herself. That's the real story here. Not a controversy, not an excuse. A young champion who is proving, match after match, city after city, that her rise is no accident, and that when things get hardest, she doesn't shrink. She finds another gear. The question now is whether that ankle holds up. Whether the fatigue of 4 matches in 5 days finally catches up with her. Or whether Eala is simply built differently than everyone else left in this draw. We're about to find out, because Belinda Bencic is next. And if this week has taught us anything, it's that nothing about Eala's run should be underestimated. If you want to see how far this incredible run goes, make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on, because you will not want to miss what happens next.